ignite, stay and play, it's game night.
Welcome to Wizards Whimsy. I'm your host, Patrick. So today we are going to do a deck tech, and it is for Duel Commander. So you don't have to worry about brackets whenever it comes to Duel Commander, because Duel Commander is a 1v1 format. That's right, it's a little mono-a-mono action going on, and it is a best of 3. And you do have a sideboard. It's actually your deck. So depending on what your commander is, as long as you have another legendary creature that shares all the same colors as your commander, you can swap that, and that's in between each game. So if you're going and you lose game 1, you can switch your commander for game 2, and then you can switch again for game 3. It gives you the ability to change your deck up so that you can actually, put the commander that you think will be better suited for your opponent. Now, again, it is Duel Commander, so you don't have to worry about the brackets. It has its own ban list, so if you're wondering about, do I have to go up against Thassa's Oracle because I hate that? No, you don't, because it's actually banned. They do have a separate ban list, and they also have a banned as commander. So that is something that you should really look into, because some of the cards that have been banned, especially say you love Mardu, well, it's banned as commander, but you can still actually use him in the deck. So that card is not completely dead. If that is something that you'd like to try and use, you have that ability whenever it comes to Duel Commander. In this video, we are going to go over Redshift Rocketeer Chief. He is a legendary creature. He is a 2-drop, a red and a green. That's right, Gruul. We're back into my favorite color combination, and we get to build a fun little deck, and we can actually build it where it's competitive for Duel Commander, or by swapping out a few cards, you can actually upgrade it to be competitive for CEDH as well. Now, again, he is a legendary creature. He is a goblin pilot. He's a 2/3, and he has vigilance. Now, that means that, whenever you go to combat and attack, you don't have to tap him. So you can do some actual cool tricks with him, especially if you get to utilize his first ability, which is tap, add X mana of any one color where X is Redshift's power. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. You can't cast spells with it, but you can activate abilities on artifacts, enchantments, other creatures, actually on him, because he has another ability, which is Exhaust. Now, Exhaust was brought in with Aether Drift. So we got a new mechanic in Aether Drift, Exhaust. You can utilize it once per game, per instance of the card. So if we activate Redshift's ability and he dies, well, when we bring him back or recast him, well, it resets that, so we're able to use that ability again. But the Exhaust ability that he has is 10 generic, a red and a green. That's right, 12 mana to activate this ability, but it is put any number of permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. That's right, you get to put your lands, your enchantments, your artifacts, other creatures. If it's a permanent, you get to put it onto the battlefield if it's in your hand, and for a low cost of 12 mana. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's a lot of mana to do. It is, but it's not that hard to get to, because Redshift is like other commanders that have, mana abilities. Say Savala, Heart of the Wilds, little Umbra Mantle on him, and he's off to the races. So that is one thing that we can look forward to, is that there is a way to buff him up and create infinite mana to use to activate abilities. And then I'm also going to show you in this deck tech how you can actually use that mana to cast spells. You just got to jump through a hoop. Now let's go ahead and get into how we create infinite mana. Well, tapping him, he already creates 2 mana on himself. So we need a way to tap him to create mana, then untap him so that we can tap him again and create more mana. And we want to get net positive each time that we're adding mana with his ability. And there are a few ways that we can do that. The easiest way to generate infinite mana with Redshift is using artifacts. We have Sword of Perunes. Now, Sword of Perunes is a 4-drop. It has equipped 3, and it has an ability. You may tap or untap equipped creature for 3 mana. So as long as we can get Redshift's power up to 4, we will be able to generate infinite mana with this equipment. How do we buff him? Well, we can do it with spells. Other creatures can give him buffs. He can come in with counters. There's plenty of different ways that we have, but this is one of the ways to create the infinite mana with him. And like I said, his power only needs to be 4 and able to actually go infinite with this piece of equipment. With this next equipment, it is Umbral Mantle. Now, you've probably seen this in other decks where it helps create infinite mana, especially with Savala Heart of the Wilds. Now, it is a 3-drop, equipped 0, and it has pay 3, untap this creature, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So if Redshift has power 3, we can start generating infinite mana with Umbral Mantle. So once Redshift power is at 3, we can tap him to add 3 mana, use that mana to activate this ability, which untaps, which gives him that buff of +2/+2. So then his power will be 5. So we continue this, and he'll get bigger and bigger, and we'll be adding more and more mana each time that we tap and untap him. And it will only cost 3 to activate this, but we'll be netting that much more mana each time we activate it, and it will also make him a lot bigger. The other artifact that helps us create infinite mana is Staff of Domination. It is a 3-drop artifact. You can pay 1, untap Staff of Domination. You can pay 2, tap Staff of Domination, you gain 1 life. Pay 3, untap target creature. Pay 4 and tap target creature, or pay 5, tap, draw a card. Redshift's power will have to be 5 for us to go positive with Staff of Domination, because we'll tap, add 5, we'll spend 3 to untap him. Of course, we'll be tapping Staff of Domination, so we create that 5 mana, we use 3 of it, so we have 2 left. Then we pay 1 to untap Staff of Domination, leaving us 1 mana left over, and we can repeat that process and create an infinite loop to where we can show that we can create infinite mana. Then we can actually start drawing all of our cards from our deck using Staff of Domination. Staff of Domination is also an outlet for the restriction of only using that mana for activated abilities, because we can draw a card and untap, draw a card, untap, because we've created infinite mana. So we can generally just draw our whole deck, and then we can activate Redshift's ability and just put everything into play, which would be a phenomenal thing to do. Don't know how easy it will be to do, because Duel Commander is a fast format, but this gives us an outlet, and this gives us a way that we can do multiple things. If we need to, we can tap our opponent's creatures down, we can gain life, whatever we need to do, we're able to do it with Staff of Domination, and that is why this is probably one of the biggest cards to have in the deck. So let's talk about the ways that we can have Redshift become bigger so that he can utilize the artifacts and create that infinite mana. Well, the first is an enchantment. It is Rhythm of the Wild. It is a 3-drop, 1 generic, a red and a green. It's an enchantment. Creature spells you control can't be countered, so it protects your creatures from getting countered by your opponent. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. They enter the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. Gift of Viper is a 1-drop, 1 green mana instant. Put a +1/+1 counter, a reach counter, and a death touch counter on target creature. Untap it. Fido Burst. It is a 2-drop sorcery. It is 1 generic and a green. Target creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn. Reckless Charge is a 1-drop red sorcery. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Invigorate is a 3-drop instant, 2 generic and a green. If you control a forest, you may have an opponent gain 3 life instead of paying Invigorate's mana cost. Target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Raga Draga Goreguts Boss. It is a 4-drop, 2 generic, a red and green. It is a legendary creature, Human Boar. It is a 4/4. Each creature you control with a mana ability gets +2/+2. Whenever a creature you control with a mana ability attacks, you get to untap it. Whenever you cast a spell, if at least 7 mana was spent to cast it, untap target creature, it gets +7/+7 and gains trample until end of turn. Lava Spur Boot is an artifact. It is a 1-drop, 1 generic mana. Equipped creature gets +1 and has haste and ward 1. It has an equip cost of 1. Groundswell is an instant. It is a 1-drop green. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Landfall. If you had a land enter the battlefield under your control this turn, that creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn instead. Snakeskin Veil is a instant 1-drop, a green. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. Might of Old Krosa is a 1-drop green instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you cast this spell during your main phase, that creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. If we're able to create that infinite mana with Redshift, and we have cards in our hand that we need to cast, these are the cards that we can actually convert that mana so that we're able to use it for other things than activating abilities. This first one is an artifact, Urn of Godfire. It is a 1-drop artifact. It has the ability of pay 2, add 1 mana of any color. Also, we can pay 6, sacrifice Urn of Godfire, destroy target creature or enchantment. Basalt Monolith. It is a 3-drop artifact. Basalt Monolith doesn't untap during your untap step. You can tap it, add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. You can spend 3 colorless mana to untap Basalt Monolith. Prismite is a 2-drop artifact creature. He is a 2/1 with the ability of pay 2, add 1 mana of any color. Orochi Leafcaller is a 1-drop, 1 green mana creature snake shaman. He is a 1/1. His ability is pay a green, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Energy Refractor is a 2-drop artifact. When Energy Refractor enters the battlefield, draw a card. It also has the ability of pay 2, add 1 mana of any color. Treasure Vault. It is an artifact land. It is tap, add a colorless mana, or pay XX, sacrifice this land, create X treasure tokens. So let's go ahead and talk about some ways that we can filter mana from Redshift. We do have some activated abilities that can do that, and they're on other things besides artifacts. Leyline of Abundance. It is a 4-drop, 2 generic and 2 green. It is an enchantment. If Leyline of Abundance is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. This also has the ability of 6 and 2 green. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Aggravated Assault. It is a 3-drop enchantment. 3 generic and 2 red. Untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. Play this ability anytime you could play a sorcery. Helix Pinnacle. It is a 1-drop, 1 green enchantment. It has Shroud, so that means you can't target it with spells. Your opponents can't target it with spells. It is just there, and it has X tower counters on Helix Pinnacle. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, you win the game. Now, of course, we do have some creatures and stuff that actually have plenty of activated abilities. So when you see this deck list, you'll see that there's so much that has activated abilities. We want to have as many opportunities or as many outlets as we can for creating and using that mana with Redshift. Now, first up, we're looking at Loot, Exuberant Explorer. He is a 3-drop, 2 generic and a green. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Pay 6 mana, 4 generic and 2 green, tap. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them and put it onto the battlefield. So the good thing about being a 1v1 format is that you don't have to worry about 2 other players. You only have to worry about that 1 player. So if you have a big enough creature that can get through, you can actually win the game. And Rampaging Raptor fits that bill. He is a 4-drop, 2 generic, a red. He is a dinosaur. He is a 4/4. He has trample and haste. And he also has pay 3, 2 generic, and a red rampaging raptor gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And you can activate that as many times as you need. Now, Temur Sabertooth is a 4-drop, 2 generic, and a green creature cat. He is a 4/3. He has an ability, 1 generic and a green. You may return another creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Temur Sabertooth gains indestructible until end of turn. Duskwatch Recruiter. He is a 2-drop, 1 generic and a green. He has an ability of pay 2 and a green. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Ortheon, Hero of Lava Brink, is a 4-drop, 3 generic and a red. Is a legendary creature, human soldier, 3/3. He has 2 abilities. The first is a generic and a red tap. Create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. His next ability is 9 mana, 6 generic, and 3 red. Tap, create 5 tokens that are copies of another target creature you control. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. Goro Goro, Disciple of Raizu, is a 2-drop, 1 generic and a red. He is a 2/2 legendary creature, Goblin Samurai. He has pay a red. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Agatha of the Vile Cauldron. She is a 2-drop, a red and a green, 1/1 legendary creature, human warlock. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost X less to activate, where X is Agatha of the Vile Cauldron's power. This effect can't reduce the mana and the cost to less than 1. You can pay 6, 4 generic, a red, green. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample and haste until end of turn. Intrepid Paleontologist is a 2-drop, 1 generic and a green, 2/2 human druid. Has the ability add 1 mana of any color. Then it also has pay 2, exile target card from a graveyard. Also has the ability you may cast dinosaur creature spells from among cards you own exiled with Intrepid Paleontologist. If you cast a spell this way, that creature enters the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Now, sometimes you just don't want to swing in with your creatures, but you still want to win. And if you're creating infinite mana with Redshift, Ball's Invoker is the creature you want to have on the battlefield. He is a 3-drop, 2 generic, a red. He is a 4/2 Dragon Shaman. He has Scorching Ray. Pay 8. Ball's Invoker deals 4 damage to each opponent. Beast Rider Vanguard is a 2-drop, 1 generic, and a green, 2/2 human knight. He has the ability of paying 5, 4 generic, and a green. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a permanent card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Walking Ballista. He is a 0-drop. He is XX, so you have to pay 2 mana for any instance of 1. So Walking Ballista enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. He is a 0/0. He has the ability remove a +1/+1 counter from Walking Ballista. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. He also has the activated ability of pay 4, put a +1/+1 counter on Walking Ballista. So if we only have 2 mana available to cast spells with, we can cast Walking Ballista for 1, activate Redshift for infinite mana, and then we can start putting more +1/+1 counters on Walking Ballista, and then we can remove those counters to kill our opponent. Hex Drinker is a fun little card. It is a 1-drop, 1 green mana. It is a snake. It is a 2/1. It has level up abilities. So you pay 1 generic to level it up. Once you get Hex Drinker up to level 3 to 7, he has protection from instances, and he is a 4/4. Once you get him to level 8 or higher, he has protection from everything and is a 6/6. Targnar, Demon Fang Null, is a 2-drop, a red and a green legendary creature Null. He is a 2/2. He has Pack Tactics. Whenever Targnar attacks, if you attack with creatures you control with power 6 or greater this combat. Attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Now he has an activated ability of paying 4, 2 generic, a red and a green, double Targnar's power and toughness until end of turn. Rada Heart of Keld is a 3-drop, 1 generic, a red and a green, legendary creature elf warrior, 3/3. As long as it's your turn, Rada has first strike. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may play lands from the top of your library. Has the activated ability of 6 mana, 4 generic, a red and a green. Rada gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control. Flame Wave Invoker is a 3-drop, 2 generic, and a red Goblin Mutant 2/2. It has the ability of 8 mana, 7 generic, and a red. Flame Wave Invoker deals 5 damage to target player. The mana base for this deck, you can look it up in the deck list that I have attached in the description below. But one of the key lands in the deck is going to be Kessig Wolfrun, because you can use Redshift's ability to actually buff up one of your creatures, and you'll be able to actually win the game doing that as well. Thanks for checking out this video. So if you're interested in Duel Commander, I do have a link to the website in the description below. Go ahead and check that out. You can actually check out what the ban list is. It gives you a good idea of what you can build. And like I said, it does have banned as commander, so some of your favorite commanders that are banned might actually be playable inside the 99 whenever it comes to Duel Commander. And again, it is a 1v1 format, so it is a best of 3. So it's a way that you can be competitive. It's also a way that you can still play commander, and you don't have to worry about some of the more broken cards. So if you're looking in, trying out some competitive play, this is a good place to start before actually moving up to CEDH. Now, I do have a link to this deck in the description below as well, so make sure you check that out. And hey, let me know if you want to see some more Duel Commanders deck techs, or what you want to see next. My next video will most likely be informative about prices, about what's going on with Magic the Gathering in general, and basically something over that aspect. But if you want to see any more deck techs, go ahead and leave a comment. And you want to see them for Duel Commander or regular Commander, I can do either or. If you want to see in any of the other formats, I can try to make something, but I really don't know the metas in those formats, so it might take me a minute, or it would just be a fun janky deck. Because like in Pioneer, I ran the Pig God. In Modern, I ran Warp World, which was a fun deck. I don't think it's very viable now. It probably wasn't viable whenever I was playing it, but I do like to have a little bit more fun and do some crazier things whenever it comes to playing Magic the Gathering. So if there's anything you'd like to see me try to do, make sure you leave that in the comments below. So also in the description below, I have links to some Magic products on Amazon. Now, if you use any of those links, I do get a small commission at no cost to you. It is just letting them know that I sent you there, and they give me a commission off of those sales, but it does not increase the prices, and you don't pay anything extra for that. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Magic in general, how you feel about what's going on with Magic and all the releases that they're doing. And until next time, keep slinging those spells.
Crack a pack, it's time to brew. Slinging spells, making mischief too. Wizards, we're to see. A little bit of news, battlefields too. Crazy brews, mana's flow and sparks ignite. Stay and play, it's game